Hello, investors. It is Ted Zhang, Associate Portfolio Manager with Revere Asset Management. Today is Friday, December 13th, 5:11 p.m., coming to you from Fort Lauderdale with tonight's Revere Roundup Daily Market Insight video. Stay in the market. We're still in an uptrend. Market leaders, green up arrow with a yellow sub arrow, just because over the last few days, we did see some weakness coming into some of our leaders. We'll definitely go over some of that. Short term, we're above the 21 EMA on the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq, but RSP, IWM, mid caps are not, which is why we have the yellow sub arrow. And there's definitely a bifurcation there that we will go over in the charts. Medium term, 50-day moving average, all indexes are still above that. RSP is actually testing it, and same with the Dow. And then long term, we're still above the 200-day moving average. What happened today? Tech and Bitcoin unfazed by Friday, the spooky Friday the 13th. Nasdaq all-time highs. Our 21 over 21 list was up 1.85%, and that was a standout today, which in turn gave us a positive return in GROTECTION, approximately 0.62% today. 11 up, 1 sideways, 8 down. Big 8 down 0.31%. Tesla, it was a standout though. Close at a new all-time high daily and weekly close. RGA down 0.31%. As you can see, the Qs are up because tech led today. So jumping right into the charts. Starting off with S&P 500, literally flat 0.00% gain today. Really tight close relative to yesterday, obviously. Volume declined and pretty much held the 8 EMA, still above the 21 EMA. And we did turn this 60-50 level that we're looking at so far to support, and we closed above it. Let me go to RSP. This is one of the weirdest charts I've seen. This is nearly 10 lower lows in a row, all the way down to the 50-day. I would expect this to get supported at this upper trend line, as well as the 50-day moving average. This tells me that breadth is weakening, but at the same time, leaders are strong. So we're going to go with the leaders and the S&P and the Nasdaq first. Qs, new all-time daily close and all-time high weekly close. Of course, that's always a great thing and is on elevated volume today as well. Tech remains strong, and that is the strongest area of the markets right now, the mega cap tech and other tech names. We'll definitely go over Avgo later on its earnings report. QQEW, a bit weaker because it is the larger market cap stocks holding up these indexes. This is testing the 21 EMA, but still fine action, especially with volume contracting. The Dow continues to leak off below the 8 and 21. One of those names that we said has a warning sign short term, but the 50-day is still rising and likely going to meet price. Problem is we have a wall of red here, and that's the opposite of what we want. We want to see a wall of blue, which signals accumulation. 45,000 remains a huge wall in front of us. Mid caps also leaking off like RSP. I've noticed RSP and mid caps often can have similar charts. We really want to see this upper trend line hold. 50-day moving average is below, but we are below the 8 and 21 EMA. Russell, same thing. 10-year yields are rising, and they continue to rise, which we'll go over later on in this inter-asset correlation. And that's putting pressure on companies that make less money, mid caps, small caps, more interest rate sensitive. They have higher debt. And so you can see below the 8 and 21 and below the 2,400 level. RS has made a lower low actually against this level. So that's definitely not a good thing for small caps. VIX continues to stay in this 10 to 13 to 14 area. So volatility remains low, but we got to always stay vigilant and be ready for volatility expansion. Dollar continues to rise, breaks out this bull flag that I noted a couple of videos ago on this day. This is rising with 10-year yields. Higher yields attracts more capital from international countries, foreign countries, into our currency to buy bonds to capture greater return. Gold, another failure, gap down, follow through, power through to the downside below the 8, 21, and 50. So there's weak action in gold with the dollar and yields rising. Gold miners was already relatively weak to gold, rejected the 50-day moving average, and back below AN21, looking to test this 200-day moving average again. Silver, same action, gap down, follow through, gap down, looking to retest the lows of this base on base right here. As you can see, the RS line continues in the downtrend. 69 RS, just really weak action in silver. Bitcoin, IBIT, we own this, hovering near all-time highs. I'm going to go to TradingView to show up the Bitcoin chart. A lot of frustration around this 100K level, undercut, overcuts, undercuts, overcuts, undercuts, and Bitcoin loves to frustrate the mass before it gets going. Let's say this 102,500 level is the key pivot here. If you go on the 65-minute chart, you can see this line drawn. We broke the downtrend line, just chopping around this area, and we need to see us clear this level. The volume patterns are still quite flawless, though. Big volume on the up days and up bars. Sorry, up 65-minute candles. Volume dry up in the chop and the selling. And that's what we're still seeing. So that is good action in Bitcoin. Talking about bonds, a new day opened. So let's go right here. 1 year continues to trickle higher. 2 years as well of 5 basis points. 10 years over 4.4% and 30 years over 4.6%. This is telling us that maybe the Fed has one more cut in the back of its pocket before it gets to that 4.25 to 4.5% target range. And because the 2 year right now is at 4.25% and the Fed tracks the 2 year closely, I wouldn't be surprised to see no more cuts after this one. The 10 year and 30 year is signaling to us definitely higher growth expectations and or inflation. And that's just what the bonds are telling us. Eventually, that could start becoming a problem if that reflects in CPI and PCE, as well as a hotter than expected labor market. That would mean the Fed is offsides again. That'd be a huge issue. But who knows? We'll see if that plays out. No predictions from our end. So that wraps up the inter-asset correlation. I'll give you guys a bonus. I am watching Ethereum quite closely here. We're really starting to build out this right side. Ripped up the right side, up 73%, rejected previous 52-week highs at 4,100, almost perfectly. 4096 was the high. Sold off, retested 3,500, and we're developing a really nice handle on the weekly now. I would love to see maybe a one more week, even two, sideways. Let these weekly moving averages trend up, get the 20 above the 30 and 40, and then we can really get going above 4,100. That's one of the next fat pitches I'm looking at. So onto the tail of the tape. We're going to go to the tail of the tape now. Some notable things. Bull case, we're still operating at the bull case above the 21 EMA. The news today, Avgo earnings boosts all of tech, and we'll go over the chart after this. Today's keys, we're watching the S&P versus 6020 and 6100 range, which we closed in the middle. It did flip 6050, half Livermore level to support so far. And growth leaders did follow through today. Did see some bounces. Our 21 over 21 list was up nearly 2%, and definitely a majority of them were green. Day count, consolidation of 4 days, the consolidation of 5 days, pretty much 0 days above the 8 EMA because we closed right on top of it, 19 days above the 21 EMA. Expectations are still positive. Strong sectors, this should be bond yields were up, not bond prices. Bond prices were actually down because yields were up. Bitcoin semis, because of Avgo, primarily FNGS and USO were up. Oil, dollar was actually up on the day. Gold, silver, and copper were down. Home builders are down, and China is down. What we did today, trimmed Snow, trimmed Bros, and sold NVIDIA. We'll go over NVIDIA as well. We finally got rid of it because even on the Avgo news, it did the exact opposite and sold off after forming a rounded top. So RVAB 1.57, about 7.2% open heat. Bottom line is tech and Bitcoin unfazed by Friday the 13th. Nasdaq an all-time high. So let's talk about FNGS and mega caps. We made another new all-time high in FNGS in this index that was primarily driven by Avgo Broadcom that gapped in the all-time highs on earnings. Theo had some great stuff to say, huge future guidance in revenues, Um, just playing that data center AI industry and theme, and this gapped up into new all-time highs. As you can see, earnings is starting to ramp up 18% year over year to 21%, 28%, 47% sales to 51%. Gross margins are expanding as well. Before I go over the other components of FNGS, which are dominating the markets, we sold 20% of Bros, just broke the 8 EMA. Fighting support at the 21 so far, but we just wanted to light up some exposure, take some profits. Snow, we cut it in half, continues to leak below the 8 EMA. 8 EMA starting to turn over, 21 EMA starting to flatten as well. In the video, we got rid of all of it. You can see head, shoulders, head, shoulders. Another way you can look at it, you can see this rounded top type look. And we had a bearish engulfing this day, rallied into the 50-day, as well as the 8 and 21. Even with Avgo's strength and Semi's strength today, NVIDIA breaks its bear flag. It breaks the 50-day. 200-day test looks like it's imminent. RS line is also declining and weakening. Putting a double top here. As you can see, the RS line made one high here, and it never got above that high when price made a high. And these are some subtle clues that we look for to give us an indication that perhaps the stock is looking to roll over. And even though you have triple-digit earnings, it is decelerating. Same with the sales. And a huge telltale sign was double beat and raise, highly optimistic words. We gapped up, or we pushed above 150 all-time highs, fell below, and it's really been history ever since. Just can't get back above. Super slow name now, highly institutionally owned, rich valuation, really just priced in perfectly. It really needs a new surprise and a new N factor, as we talk about, to really get things going. Tesla's a monster. Came out of this high type flag, and it closes at a new all-time high this week. Extraordinarily strong from Tesla. The tailwinds, Elon Musk works closely with Trump. He gives clear regulatory approvals for robotaxi and other developments in his pipeline. Margins are expanding with its EVs. Full self-driving subscription is a high margin business. Optimism is growing for robotaxis as well as the humanoid robots. And that is really some tailwinds here. New all-time high, new market cap high as well. And this is really just perfect breakout action. Google made an all-time high yesterday off the quantum chip, or 2 days ago. We're pulling back in now. Perhaps we just need to U-turn a little bit before we continue this move. It's good to see that volume is contracting. Apple continues to float near and at all-time highs. Amazon, same thing, floats near at all-time highs, volume drying up above the 8 EMA. Meta, also recent all-time high 2 days ago, retesting the 8 EMA. Good action here. Microsoft holds the long-term moving averages, breaks out above this base. Finding resistance at 450, but I would bet my money that 470 is probably coming soon. Netflix, all-time high 2 days ago as well. Normal pullback to the EMA. ServiceNow, also all-time high 2 days ago. Normal pullback to the 8 EMA. And then Avgo makes a new all-time high on earnings. Finally, CrowdStrike builds a handle, and the cybersecurity names look quite good as well. Finally, let's go over the 21 over 21 list. CRDO was our biggest mover today. And actually, we did buy some CRDO. We did add some CRDO, which I didn't put in, which I actually didn't put in the tail of the tape. That is my bad. So the beta is accurate and open heat, but we actually did do another offensive sell of ALAB, and we doubled CRDO today as well. So just make that quick correction there. And the reason being, broke out of this downtrend line. Look at the 60-minute, just really strong post-earnings gap action. We'll go to ALAB real quick as well. Did an offensive trim because it's another gap up, pretty extended after this gap as well. We still have a big part of our position nevertheless. CLS, really strong too. This This gapped up on huge volume, testing its 100 level. We don't own it. A perfect post gap action from 63. Just really perfect, trending above the 8 and the 21 moving averages. Reddit, another perfect post earnings gap action. As I've talked about, gapped out of this IPO base and just a really nice trend above the 8 EMA so far. Tesla, talked about that, so we can skip it. Palantir, also another post earnings gap, perfect action, trending above the 8 EMA. The leaders are still acting extraordinarily strong. Bloom Energy had a hiccup, but we bounced back so far. Reclaimed 25, reclaimed that previous left side peak, held the 21, reclaimed the 8, and this is starting to look good again. Bitcoin covered that. Deckers, also an up name, up 1.5% today. Also smooth gap out of this cup with handle and trending along the 8 EMA quite nicely. On the downside, SMR continues to pull back and testing its 50-day. 20 is really a huge line with the whole number in that hammer low, or else we might see that 150-day or even the 200-day come up on this one. TCOM China name, super volatile with their uncertain monetary policy. Twilio continues to be a perfect trender, post earnings gap, 80 to 112 at this point. Snow, like we talked about, trimmed a bit off today. 8 EMA starting to roll over, but we could be supported at the gap days low at the 21 EMA as well. XPO, just super tight action, down 1.2%. As you can see, the top 5 down names, really nothing too ominous, just some pullbacks and even some perfect action like in TCOM. Bit of volatility and pullbacks of key moving averages. So overall, we're going to stick to our leaders, going to have that and the breadth of our focus lists as our number one indicator for the health of the market. And with that being said, I'm going to wrap up this Friday video, which will end off the week. As always, if you'd like to hear from, we would love to hear from you. My email is ted@revereasset.com. You can reach out to Dan at don@revereasset.com. Phone is 855-REAL-WEALTH. That is 855-732-5932. Our website's revereasset.com and our YouTube's Revere Asset. If you're interested in becoming a client, please reach out. And with that said, I'll wrap it up for today. Friday, December 13th. This is Ted Zhang with Revere Asset Management, telling it like it is. Thank you for listening and have a great rest of your week. And happy holidays to all those who celebrate.